Welcome back to another episode of Thinking That Matters. I'm Elizabeth Mahusay with Go With Elizabeth, your podcast host, and I am here with my guest, Deanna Dotson, and I'm so excited to have you in the studio. So tell us who you are, what you do, a little bit about you, and we will launch into our conversation today.
Okay, my name is Deanna Dotson. I am a banking center manager for American National Bank of Texas here in McKinney. I originally moved here in 2019 from Shreveport, Louisiana. I have 2 children. I'm a grandmother. I am a Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
What?
Yes. In the city of Texas, I am a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. I love to shop, and just love hanging out with my family and my friends.
Okay, I did not anticipate asking you this, but I have to know what had you become a Pittsburgh Steelers fan?
Short story, my son played football, Little League football, and so they named him the Bus, Jerome Bettis, who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yes, I know that name.
So he ran like Jerome Bettis as the fullback. And so from that moment on, I became a fan. And being that I'm from Shreveport, Louisiana, Terry Bradshaw, of course, graduated and played at Ruston at Louisiana Tech. So yeah. And I was taught by Larry Anderson, who played for the Pittsburgh Steelers in high school. Yes.
What?
Yes.
All these things I didn't know about you. How that is super, super cool. So you, obviously knowing that connection to like how your son was kind of named after this Pittsburgh Steeler player, you also mentioned just about your children, and which, by the way, what's your grandma name?
Damo. He calls me Damo. Yes. He struggles pronouncing the gr. Yeah. So it's Damo. And so I take it. I love it. I love it.
I love it. Fred and I love asking our friends, what's your grandparent name? Because there's so many creative ones. And we also know that a lot of it's to do with the grandchild and how the grandchild refers to you.
Right.
And so anyway, Fred's convinced that he's going to teach his grandchildren to call him Big Dog.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It doesn't
or
work.
Something like that. I probably have it wrong, but anyway. So tell me about, let's kind of launch in first where your passions are. Like, what are you most passionate about?
I am most passionate about my family and the aspect of my job, helping people. I love helping people. I love talking to people. I love meeting people. That's where my passion is. And in light of the recent tragedy, family is very important to me. Spending time with my family and my friends and letting my loved ones know that I love them. That is my passion now. Is
this a tragedy that you experienced yourself? Yes, or if you're willing, give us the at least a general idea, because usually I find when there is this, what I'm going to say, deep passion for family, usually it's rooted in some connectedness to something that brings it into such a view that there's a greater clarity, if that makes sense.
You don't know how valuable time is until you don't have that time with that person anymore. You just begin to appreciate that person more so when they're gone. There's an old saying, you don't miss your water till your well run dry, or give people their flowers while they're here. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So who is that person for you?
My son was tragically murdered New Year's Eve of 23. And the last conversation I had with him was was I love you on the 29th. It was that Saturday. Yeah, the Saturday on the 29th. And I got the phone call late Sunday night, early midnight, that my son was murdered. And so one minute I'm talking to him, and the next minute he's not here. And so that he's the reason why I'm out here. He's the reason why he was like my biggest cheerleader. And so one of my biggest cheerleaders. And so now I tend to gravitate toward my family and friends more so now, and letting them know how I feel about them, and not only letting them know, but showing them how I feel about them. I can say that I love you 1,000 times, but I just make that effort to be in their presence and make memories and create memories. And I find myself making sure that I have a voicemail of my mom's voice on my phone, and little bitty things that you don't really get to, you think about, but now you really,
So when you said at the top of the show that you have 2 children,
yes,
your son is one of those 2.
Yes.
So you now
just have the one living. Yes, my daughter.
And that's, there's a lot that goes into death of a child.
Yeah.
I walked a journey with a best friend from high school who, her daughter died at 8. Different situation, but what I learned from walking that with her is that there is nothing like the death of a child.
No.
And so I have to imagine that there are going to be people watching and listening. Maybe they've experienced the death of a child, or they can't imagine it. When you think about that time, which there were so many things going through your mind, I'm sure, in late 2023, really now 24, right?
24.
Because
it was
that's
New Year's Eve.
Because you were cresting into a new year. I think a lot of times people, they don't know what to do with death. They don't know how to think about death. So not that we have to spend our entire time breaking that down, but that there is definitely thinking that matters around death. What are the top couple of things that come to your mind that you're a year and a half out, that does not quell the hurt or the...
No. I think the shock for me, it's still, I think I'm starting to come out of the shock a year later. You still have your moment. There are different steps to grieving.
Yep.
And there's no right order. It hits you differently. I'm learning that it's okay to not be okay.
Yes.
You're not going to have all the answers. There are different phases, and you may go through those phases all within 10 minutes, 5 minutes a day. For me, it's a struggle between faith and emotion, human emotion, physical emotions and feelings that you go through. You find yourself questioning woulda, coulda, shoulda, what you could have done differently. It's just one of those. It's hard to navigate. I can say the support of family and friends have been absolutely amazing. Even I've gotten support through the chamber. My job, my employer, absolutely amazing. My coworkers, my team, customers that know me, they have been very
Big
supportive.
support.
Yeah, it's not that I don't share it with everybody. I push through, and when they hear or learn of it, they're like, there's no way, and there are times where I even ask myself, how am I standing? How do I get up every day?
Yeah.
It feels like I'm just going through
The motions.
Or I can say that the peace of God that surpasses all understanding definitely surpasses all understanding. And I think it's just his peace that keeps me going, operating not on my own strength, operating on him, because that's where I stop, is not knowing. I don't know. So it's got to be him that's carrying me through this. And every now and then I'll wake up out of that peace. And then that's when I start to feel the pressure. That's when I start to feel the weight of it. And then I'll get back in his peace. I don't know how I get back in it, but I get back in it.
I want to ask you some questions around that, because I think I'm appreciating how you just described that, in that you recognize it's the peace of God that's carrying you through. It makes me think of back in the day, I cross-stitched. Do you remember that? Like, it's like a needle point. And I made a footprints in the sand cross-stitch for my parents, my dad and my stepmom.
Right.
And it's still on her wall when I go to see her in Florida. And so and as soon as you said that, you said that's what's carrying you through, right? I envision Christ holding you, right? And there was 2 sets of footprints, and now there's only one. So but you said sometimes you wake up out of that peace and you feel the weight and the heaviness, and then you have to make a conscious effort
to get back in,
to return to it. Okay. So if you had to reflect or think about, what are the thoughts? Like, first of all, how do you recognize that you've woken up out of it?
Because now I start to question everything. I start to feel the tension, the stress. I feel I hear my thoughts.
It's like you become, they're magnified. Is that a good way to say it? It's as though almost like they are quiet. Now they're yelling at you.
Right.
So this helps you to recognize, okay, I'm no longer resting in that peace.
Right.
And I'm sure that this has been a work in progress and will probably continue to be. I mean, truthfully, it's a work in progress for all of us until the day we drop this earthly body and we are made new in the presence of Christ. But once you recognize I'm out of it, what is something that you find yourself saying to yourself? It could be a scripture. It could be something that you verbalize. It could be an action that you take. What is it that you do to get back to that peace?
When I recognize that I'm out of it, sometimes, like I said, I feel the stress. I feel the pressure. I just feel different. I feel anxiety. It's because there's nothing that I could do to change it. And as being the mom or being that person, you carry a lot on your shoulders, and you recognize that, and then to get back in it, I find myself, I'll question God, or I'll have a conversation with my best friends, my sisters, or I'll just have to go back to my faith. I have to go back and say, okay, God, I understand. And I allow myself to hear. I have to get out of the way to hear and to find him again and to find that peace. It's sort of like I equate it to Peter when he got out of the boat and he had asked Jesus. Jesus had bid him to come. And he stepped out that boat and he started walking on water. And as long as he kept his eye on Jesus, he was fine.
Yeah.
He could do it. And when he took his eye off of God, off of Jesus, that's when he started to sink.
Yeah.
And for me, I use an example because I felt like the Holy Spirit gave me a revelation. Jesus is everything that we need. He's our peace. He's our strong tower. He's our strength. He's our savior. He's our hope. And I was like, okay, well, if he's our peace and Peter was out there in that water, the moment that water, well, when he was outside of the boat, the moment that water touched his skin, he snapped out of it. He started hearing the chatter of everybody behind him. He started hearing himself. He started to realize that he was he was no longer within the supernatural. He was now within
aware of the natural.
What he was doing.
That's good.
And so when he stepped out and he felt that, he felt differently than what he felt when he was in the peace. And that's when he started yelling and asking Jesus save me. So when you're outside of that peace that you originally had, you feel it. So you know when you're outside of it, you gotta reach out and call out, okay, God, get me back in here. Help me get back to you.
I love that. Get me back in here.
Get me back to where I need it. Where I need to be.
There's a couple of things that you've said that I want to call out, because I think there are so many people who they are in a relationship with Christ, and even people who aren't in a relationship with Christ. I think there is this misnomer that we cannot question God. We cannot have real conversations with God. We cannot admit that we're angry or that we're sad or that we don't understand or even asking the why. But God can handle it. So I love that you led with that, that sometimes to get yourself back there, you will question God, and then you'll have some conversations with people that are, can provide you with some good counsel and comfort, and
he sends them.
Yeah.
I believe he sends them. I can remember driving in one day to work and I was already feeling gloomy, and I asked the question to myself. I don't even think I asked the question out loud. And I was thinking, do you even care? Do you even care? And it's not to say that you do not have a relationship with God. It's not to say that you don't love God. It's you're in a place where you're hurting.
Yeah.
And he gave you these emotions. He gave you these feelings. So who else to take them to? And
he's the best one to understand them. He's the giver of them.
But then I also had to realize that even in this, even in the death of my son, the passing of my son, I don't say loss, I say passing, transition. I would be given revelations that, oh God, is this what you felt like? You were a parent. Mary, is this what you felt like? Because you had to watch it.
Oof.
So no, I'm not the only one. He understands.
Yeah.
And it makes you now see that you have a God, or you serve a God that is relatable, and that people in the Bible are not just fictional characters. They are people. And you can now relate to them sometimes in your tragedy
in a deeper,
a different way, if you just allow yourself to hear the Holy Spirit tell you and guide you.
How old was your son?
He was 34.
34.
With a 4-year-old son. And
Wow.
he loved that little boy more than life itself. He always said that he wanted to be the kind of father to his son that he didn't have growing up. And to be able to watch that, to watch him with him from day one, not from birth, but from day one, from conception, from knowing every doctor's appointment, every step of the way, every craving that she may have had, he was there.
Wow.
Picked him up from school, took him to school. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. And to watch him be able to do that and to see that was just absolutely, absolutely amazing.
You know, I think about you sharing about Peter stepping outside of the boat, and you know, and it's even as you were utilizing that as in a sense a metaphor of how you know when you're in peace and you know when you're out of peace, right? You said something in there that ultimately you step out of a focus of the supernatural and you become acutely aware of the natural of life. You know, it just makes me think that none of us want trials, none of us want death, none of us want difficulties, yet it is in the midst of those that we really gain an intimacy with God that we would not gain otherwise.
Yeah.
And so it's like I could sense your connection to that as you were explaining it. Because here's the thing, Peter was like, Lord, if it's you, call me to come out.
Need me to come.
Right? Mm-hmm. And when you think about to utilize your own story, it's as though God in the midst of this tragedy called you out of the boat.
Yeah. What we go through is not for us. It's to help other people. And although you don't see it at the time, I didn't see it at the time. God always seemed to put somebody there in my presence that needed comforting. And I don't know, I was reading, it may have been on a video I saw, a reel, is that some things, the things that you go through is not for you, but it's for other people.
Yes.
And I was like, well, God, I didn't ask for this. I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
And you don't. And you don't know. When you become a Christian or when you accept Christ in your life, accepting Christ doesn't mean that your life is going to be void of any trials and tribulations.
Amen.
It doesn't mean that you got the pass.
Like you got a free pass
to just enjoy life or what have you. I find myself asking questions all the time, or I'll have these epiphanies or revelatory moments, and it's like, oh wow, God, I can see why you didn't tell me this was going to happen, because if you would have told me that this was going to happen, then I would have done everything in my power to try to stop it. And I have to ask myself, who am I? You know, who am I to not go through this? I mean, your son, your own son,
I know,
was brutally murdered and crucified. And
so it is so challenging to get to that place.
It takes a lot
of why not me?
Right. It takes a lot, and it's not. It doesn't mean that I don't miss him.
Of course,
it doesn't mean that I don't hurt. I still hurt. I still cry. I broke down in Ross yesterday. Crying, and the cashier was like, oh my God, are you okay? I said, I'm just having a moment. Wherever it hits, you got to let it go. But it doesn't mean for me having feelings and feeling the pain and the hurt, it doesn't take away the love that I have for God. It doesn't. I look at it like the way we parent. You have kids, I have kids. our kids do not do everything that we say.
That's true.
We don't do everything. We didn't do everything that our parents said.
That's true.
And although they don't do everything we say, we know that if they needed us, we're right there. It's an unconditional love. Mm-hmm. And God is an unconditional loving God. And he can take my questions. He can take me crying. He can take my rebellion. He can take me being, I call it temper tantrums. Because I don't know, and I'm like, okay, God, you didn't tell me this was going to happen. But then I feel like there are reminders that he will send and let me know that he's there. I say, okay, well, God, you say that you are a mender of the broken heart. Well, I need you to mend.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm not feeling it. And I'm struggling. And I can't name it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what to call it. I just know that everything else seems normal. But this particular part of my life is not normal. And I want it to be back normal. And you don't always get what you want. He's not a genie type of God.
Yeah. I know. I think that's whether it's death or loss can come in many forms. And I appreciate that you talk about that. You haven't lost your son. You know exactly where your son is.
Yes.
But death can occur in our lives in many ways. It can be death of a relationship.
Yes, that too.
Death of an individual. It can be death through the loss of a job. I mean, there's so many different aspects of it. And, I'm just appreciating what you're saying about we're not always going to understand. And I think the hard part is, especially for those who are believers, it's getting to that place of being able to say, I'm not owed an explanation.
You're not.
And really, this side of heaven, you may never know.
You'll never know.
You may never have an answer. Mm-hmm. And then it's getting to that place of, see if this makes sense. It's when God calls us to take up our cross and follow him. Sometimes is it possible that taking up the cross looks like letting go of that desire to return to what once was normal and embracing what is now the new normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. You have to create a new norm. It's like you said, the tragedy, death can occur in different forms. And I was thinking about this the other day, and I thought about the relationships where let's say I was in this relationship and I was like, oh, he is the one. It didn't work out. And I fought God back and forth about it, fought him back and forth. Yeah. Yeah. But then when I finally saw what God wanted for me, and I saw that this wasn't the relationship, it was easier to let go.
Yeah.
And so you were able to move on. Some deaths are easier to accept, and then some are a lot harder to accept. It's different when you know that you can still see that person.
It's very true.
This is like permanent.
Right.
It's a permanent temporary. That's what I call it. It's a temporary. It's permanent as long as I'm here
on this earth. Yeah.
But it's temporary on the spiritual side.
For eternity, from an eternity standpoint.
So I call it that. I mean, I'm learning.
Permanent temporary.
Yeah. I know it's.
I get it.
Yeah.
I know what you mean when you say it, and it's but you're right. There is something to be said for the lack of physical presence. Right. And also too, I think that I want you to challenge the listener, okay, the viewer.
Okay.
Because part of what I think is coming to my mind regarding your journey, this journey that you've been on over specifically the last 18, 19 months since your son's death, is that you come to networking every week, most weeks. And most people in that room, for example, know nothing about this.
Right.
Nor would they. Right. Unless there was some reason for you to have a conversation with them or something like that. And yet I think oftentimes people, they're not thinking about what's under the surface and the need to be mindful. So what would be your challenge to the viewer, the listener, about how they engage with people that may be dealing with things like the death of a 34-year-old son with a 4-year-old grandchild for you, and they may not ever know it, yet what's your challenge for how they can live differently in light of it?
I don't know. I think for me, it's not something that you just broadcast. I don't.
Of course.
Yeah, I don't.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't.
People aren't going to know about it,
right.
but it seems that it's given you, maybe let me give you a different example.
Okay.
You had a conversation with Fred about this, but not with me.
Right.
But one of the things I have observed about you, because I'm a people observer, is that you are always quick to compliment, to say the nice thing, to affirm. It's not like you wait to do it. When there's an opportunity, you want to share it.
Right.
In my mind, I connect that to you understand the brevity of life in a way that many other people have not yet had opportunity to learn. Right. So in that way, you've chosen to engage with others in an informed manner, if that makes sense. So what would happen if all of us, whether I might not know what's going on in your life, but I can still choose to engage you in a way that can be a difference in your life. Right. I think maybe that's what I'm asking you from a challenge standpoint, is that people oftentimes, we get offended too quickly. We get angry too quickly. We, and we have no clue what people are going through.
I used to live by, and I still do live by it. I can say something to you and I can turn around and apologize for it, but it doesn't erase that. So it would be easy to just treat somebody how I want to be treated, regardless. It doesn't hurt to smile. I love to laugh. I have a love for people, and I don't mind being a help. I don't mind. You never know what somebody is going through. So a kind smile can go a long way. A hang in there or an encouragement or a hug can go a long, long way. It's just being in tune with people, because you never know when you may be on the other side of that. You never know when somebody's smile can make a difference in your life.
So true.
And somebody's hug can make a difference in your life. And so I don't know, and I'm not trying to sound cliche, but it's just, you get what you give. So when somebody is angry or they snap at you, and I'm not going to say that I'm 100% all the way there, but you got to recognize that, okay, maybe it's something else that's going on. And maybe that goes back into to my profession, what I work, what I do. Because most of the time when people are angry, it's not at you, it's about something else. So you have to just kind of be patient with it and feel it out or what have you. So
yeah, I so appreciate that. And I'm grateful for the faith that you're demonstrating right through the midst of your journey. If you had to share maybe one of your favorite scriptures that you find yourself using to anchor you, right? In the midst of the storm, walking on the water, looking to Jesus, trying to remain in the peace. Like what would be a favorite scripture for you?
There's a couple. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not to thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him and he will direct your path.
Yes.
Ephesians 3:20.
Yes.
Unto him that's able to do exceeding abundantly above all that you can ever ask or think of, according to the power that worketh in you.
Oof, yes.
Isaiah 50, is it 52:17 or 54? I may have the chapters wrong, but no weapon formed against me shall prosper. And I call on this one a lot because sometimes the enemy sometimes I feel like it's an all-out war. And although it may have been a surprise to me, it wasn't a surprise to God. And again, I have to remember that at times. So when I step outside that peace, I feel like I'm angry and I'm ready to attack the world. I'm ready to fight whatever. But then I have to remember, even this wasn't a surprise to God. So although you think you may have won, you did not win.
You didn't. He thought he won when Jesus died.
He thought he won when he had Jesus there on the cross. And I have to tell myself that time and time again. And it is a struggle. It is a daily struggle. It is a moment by moment struggle. It's just one of those things where I believe the peace of God and the faith that I have and my relationship with him is what's grounding me and what's keeping me, that my grief does not pull me too far away from him. And he's such an amazing God that he gives me the space to grieve. He gives me the space to recognize that it's him that's carrying me. It's him, because without him, I can't make it. With him, I'm not going to make it. And when I find myself again stepping outside of that peace, outside of that protection, outside of him, then that's when I feel it. And when it gets too heavy, he's such an amazing God. He's like the prodigal father that said, come on back. I'll receive
I'm right here.
With open arms every time. However many rings I need to give you, however many fatted calves I need to kill for you so that we can celebrate you coming back to me, I'm okay. And he's that kind of God.
I love it.
So
some great scriptures that you just shared. So I wrap up every episode with every guest because, my title is Thinking That Matters.
Right.
Why do you believe it's important to cultivate thinking that matters?
It's important to cultivate it because it's required for change.
Ooh, that's good.
It's required for change. If we don't change the way that we think to a perspective that's going to be good and beneficial and helpful, then we stay in that same place. We stay in that same rut. We stay repeating the same cycles over and over again. So
I love that. I'll have to have you back on. We'll talk a little bit more about banking, but I know that my listeners are going to really value your perspective. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. Thank you, Deanna, for Thinking That Matters. This episode was brought to you by Go With Elizabeth. And my heart is to help you align your thoughts with your God-given purpose. So if this episode encouraged you, I want you to follow the show. I want you to leave a review, and I want you to share it with someone that needs a little hope today. Yes. And don't forget, all of my books are available on Amazon. You're going to find them to be practical, faith-filled, and they're going to help you move forward on the path that God has for you. So with that, I will tell you, just like Deanna just said, it's important that you cultivate thinking that matters, because thinking that matters is necessary for change to occur in your life and in your business.